To our seats. Today I have Hannah and Zach, and we're going to be talking about something about camps and retreats, something like that, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, see, there you go. And we'll just take it from there. So let me first ask this question. What got you interested in this?
Perfect. That's a great question. My dad is Rick Moore, and so if you know him,
I'm sorry to hear
yeah,
that.
I know. If you know him, you probably are apologizing to me. But I've been doing camp since I was a little girl, and that was a very normal thing for me to come with my siblings and my whole family to weeks like this, school missions weeks, and also high school and middle school weeks of camp. And sometimes we would do upwards of like 3 or 4 camps throughout a summer. So I just grew up around it, and I liked it. And then Zach and I, this is my husband Zach, we were pastors' kids together, and so we ended up going to a lot of church camps together in our teen years. And so we both fell in love with it in that way. We fell in love with each other later, but we fell in love with camps first. And then when I went to Cincinnati Christian University, I was offered an internship with a organization that this organization, today's camps, kind of morphed into, or it morphed from that organization to what it is now, called 121, which was a pretty cool camp and retreat ministry that started in 2008. And so I was an intern with them for my first year at CCU. And I just loved it. I loved making games. I loved teaching. I loved watching students fall in love with Jesus at a week of camp. I think there's something really special about being able to unplug and get away and just like be in a space where our whole focus is to build friends, build our relationship with Jesus. And I fell in love with it. And so even after my internship, they couldn't get rid of me. I just kept coming back until eventually they gave it to me. And here I am. So yeah, that's kind of, we were just born into it and we both like doing it. So here we are. Yeah.
So, Zach, what about you? Do you spend a lot of the early years growing up in camps too?
Yeah, my dad never sent me to church camp until I was in like 5th grade, and then that's where me and Hannah actually kind of just became friends and started hanging out. And then in high school, I ended up just leading the worship for the middle school camps, um, and honestly finding God in the moments of um, intimate worship in the Vespers was some of the first time I experienced Christ, and those moments are so special to me that I love to help recreate special Vesper moments for students and for adults because I think God moves in those intimate moments. And so, yeah, I just fell in love with it and fell in love with her. And so she just like, I'm now, dedicated worship guy. But
No, wait a minute here. Just in the first few minutes, seems like you guys have done a lot of falling in love with
Yeah, I love
people
him.
and things.
I love him so much.
and camps
And camps. I do love camps too.
and students and
student,
people
yeah,
and Jesus.
Yeah. Yes.
And occasionally your father.
Yes, I do love my dad, even though we like to make jokes, but yes.
That's good to hear. I guess I shouldn't have said that. Or
No, that's okay. You're
He
allowed. You
loves
can
me
say-
now too. So
Yeah, he didn't always love him, but now they're good friends.
So, do you have like an office or something that you
Yeah.
work out of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when today's camps was born, only a year and a half ago, I actually was able to build this ministry because a church that we attend, that Zach works at as the worship pastor, actually the church that we grew up at, offered for me to come in and start this ministry through them. So they take care of all of my finances because it's a fundraised ministry. So, which is really nice because I can budget, but I can't do taxes very well. So it's very nice to have the guy that does that for the church do that for me too. But I work out of Community Christian Church in Hamilton, Ohio. That's kind of where all my camp stuff is, and it's nice because if I had to store that all in my teeny tiny basement, it would be very packed.
They give us a space in the attic, which is awesome.
Yeah, they do. They give us a space in the attic to put all of our camp stuff. And then that's where we work out throughout the week. So I plan a lot of camps from either coffee shops or from church in Hamilton, Ohio.
So do you then partner with a camp that may need help? Do they contact you? Do you reach out? How do you do this?
Yeah, all of the above. I am a organization that doesn't have like one home camp, so I don't do all of my camps in one place. I do most of them right now at Butler Springs in Hillsboro, Ohio, because Chris is awesome. If you know Chris Osborne, and he knows me and cares about today's camps and keeps offering things to me, so I'm taking him up on that. But yeah, we have people that offer like, hey, we need help running this camp. Can you do that? Or maybe we, like, for example, for the last, I'd say probably 7 years, Butler Springs has really wanted to run a grief camp for students who have experienced loss, either through family members or friends, because there were some things that happened in the community closer to Hillsboro that were showing that need, that there were a lot of kids that had experienced that. And which all of you know, we experience grief and loss in many different ways throughout our life. But they didn't have anybody who wanted to run it or lead it. Or they had counselors that wanted to be there, but they were like, I know nothing about running a week of camp, so I can't do it. And so when I went to Chris and I was like, hey, do you have any dreams that you want to make happen? He was like, yes, I really want to do this grief camp. So we did our first grief camp at the beginning of the summer. And it was a small group of kids, but it was really, really impactful and really meaningful. And I think it'll grow for the next several years until it becomes a really cool week. So we were able to work with counselors and therapists and things like that. But my experience with kind of organizing and delegating and coming up with games and lessons and things like that outside of, because when you do a grief camp, you don't want the whole thing to be sad. You want kids to also have fun. So I brought the fun, and then the counselors helped bring the healing and things like that as well. So it just depends on what people want and if they ask today's camps to come and help. And so we will partner with them and do that, which is kind of like what happened this week and why we're here. Mish was like, hey, you should come and do this thing. I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And so we talked and worked out what would be a good flow for this week. So
okay, so yours is more of going and helping with the programs for a week of camp, whatever it is, and not necessarily going and saying, okay, your camp, you're struggling, here's what I'm going to do to help you. Or do you do both, or what?
No, mostly just creating programs week by week for what they need. I'm not saying if God wanted us to do that in the future, I would, I don't know that I'm the pro at saving camps. I can make a very good camp, but I don't know if I can save camps yet. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that we would never do that, but that's not a question that anybody's asked me because I'm not probably the pro at that yet. So.
Well, I tend to ask questions that other people don't ask. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
It's a good skill.
Yeah. So how far, you say primarily with Butler Springs, but how far away from Cincinnati would you go to help with a camp?
Yeah, I think right now we're focusing on the tri-state. We're focusing on Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana just because that's close and that helps us build up, rapport with students and families so they know our name. But I'd go anywhere. I was talking to Emmanuel and he was like, maybe you should come to Malawi and do a camp. And I was like, yeah, I'd do that. I've run camps in Monterrey, Mexico before with the organization that I worked with before we started Today's. So I do have experience doing camps in other countries. So I'm not opposed to anything. We're only a year and a half in. So if you would like to make any asks, you can hit us up.
So when you do, like with the grief counseling, if you were to do that somewhere like 200 miles away or something, do you have a way to network and find the people that can help with that in the area, or would you have to bring them from here and transfer them, or have them take the journey
It's a
there?
great question. I think I would start with trying to get people who are local to the neighborhoods. So I would either ask the camp director, like, hey, what resources do you have in your area that you trust or you think would be a good asset to the camp? And then if they were like, we don't really know, we don't really have anyone, then I probably would start to ask people in Cincinnati and kind of build up. We do have a team of volunteers that have a lot of different specialties, you know? So I would probably, tap into my team if I needed more help. But yeah, I think as much as we could connect and grow neighborhoods and where those camps are, that's probably the ideal way to do it. So I would start with the director of the camp, and then I would, if they didn't know, I probably would just look and do the research myself and see if anybody was interested in coming to serve in that way. But also because it's a Christian camp, because our main goal, regardless of what our themes are, or if it's a grief camp or just like a high school camp or a school of missions or a women's retreat or whatever, the main goal is that we bring Jesus, and that is the center of what we do. And so I would want to make sure I was very intentional about who we were asking to be a part of those things, while we, you know what I mean, like while we network. So I would want to be very upfront that this is what our main goal is, but we want to provide these other resources. Are you willing to be a part of that and serve, with a Jesus-centered heart and mind for the kids or the adults that are there?
So if you're doing a grief camp, though, would that be bringing in children that don't even know, may have never been in church?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, every kid that was at our grief camp this summer did not even really know how to find a Bible verse in the Bible. So we did really like basic things with them. I was like, here's a highlighter. We can highlight this verse that like we can go back to, that kind of stuff. And they were younger, on the younger side of what we normally work with. We normally work with high schoolers, young adults, and then my oldest campers that I've ever had are in their 70s. And so we're normally in that teen to adults bracket, and these kids were just coming into middle school. And so yeah, a lot of them, or no, all of them, every single one of them was not a regular attending church kid. So it was cool to be able to just share the gospel as well as meet them where they were in their loss.
And Ricky Moore led worship for that, and they loved it.
Yeah,
Yes.
my little brother, who looks like me, but he's 10 years younger to the day. He was born on my 10th birthday. He helped me lead that camp, which was really awesome. It was cool to be able to do it with him.
So does the camp then, they're the ones that get the campers to come in? And so they just reach out into the community or whatever and bring in campers?
Yeah, we do as much promotion as our little tiny ministry can do for right now, but also we do rely on the camps to push it as well. We've also done camps that aren't at camps. So we've done them like at campgrounds, just like tent camping, retreats, or things like that. And that is kind of more, it has been like we will promote it through our, social media accounts, or on Facebook. I'll ask people to share it and invite, but it's also word of mouth, and kind of like, yeah, if we had a women's retreat and Adele was like, I really, really, really want to go to this, and I'd be like, hey, Adele, you should invite all your friends. We're kind of working on that basis too, of just like invite by invite.
Okay. Now, games that you play, I'm going to guess that you have a recreation or some type of game. So does that change for the specialties?
Yeah, absolutely. If you know my dad, he's the game master. I would say. He has come up with some of the most wild games ever, and I've met a lot of people that create games, and he's really good at it. Sometimes it's too much.
Sometimes too good.
Yeah, sometimes it's a lot. But I grew up watching him do that and watching him be the game master. And so, yeah, it depends on who's there, depends on like the age, obviously. It depends on the weather. Like if it's in the middle of, if it's a retreat in the snow, we're not going to go play a water balloon game. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just depends. And a lot of our different events, I do have a team of volunteers. So I'll have like a game team where we go back and forth and we're like, we could do this or we could do that. And kind of create the games from scratch. And what we really like doing and what makes my dad the game master is that he's really good at tying wild games to biblical lessons. And so that's really what we try to do the most is try to connect games to teachings as well. Yeah.
And especially what I love about camp games and about camp specifically is we live in a culture where a lot of students are very on their phones, very screen time, and to see them like break out of their shells and to like get messy or to get active and to run around and play, and it's like very freeing to not see a single cell phone out and just see kids playing, and I think they feel free in a moment like that and safe, and those are the moments that I think create core memories for students that tie back into what they've learned in that week of camp, and so it's just a really fun moment to see kids get a little wild when right now they're very in their shells, but to watch them break out is one of the most beautiful things. And I think why I think we're seeing a kind of resurgence in camp revivals like that because students are like yearning for kind of freedom like that to be told it's like you can't, there's no, like Butler Springs, there's no service, so it's like you don't have a choice. There's no phones, but to have that freedom and just play a game is awesome. And Rick, he is the game master. Yeah.
So then do these kids are at the end of the week, are they like, hey, can we do this again?
Always, yeah. Also, specifically with the phone thing, the first day they're upset. They're like, what do you mean I don't have service? What do you mean I can't text my boyfriend? I'm like, you'll be fine. But no, I'm just kidding. But they're like upset. And then by the end, like I've had so many conversations with kids that are like, man, I don't want to get back on my phone. Like, I don't want to go home. Like, and we all have that, like, I don't want to leave camp feeling. But like, there is something so powerful about being around people and learning from each other and having fun and worshiping and, inviting the Holy Spirit into a space for an entire week and just like living in it, right? Yeah, and so they're always like, when's fall retreat or when's the next one? And that happens with adults too. After our this March we did a women's retreat, and our youngest woman there was 21 and our oldest was 76, and they were having a blast. They were playing bazooka ball. Have you ever seen like a 76-year-old play bazooka ball? It's awesome. It's incredible. We should all be doing that until we're older than 76. They were going down zip lines. They were playing games. They were just having a blast. And normally, when a camp ends, there's high emotions, regardless of if it's a camp or a retreat. And so I'm very used to teenage girls are coming up to me and with tears in their eyes and saying, like, I don't really want to go home. But at this women's retreat, I had the oldest camper there come up to me, camper. It's so cute to call her a camper. She's 76 years old. But she came up to me with tears in her eyes and was like, I don't want to leave. Like, this has been so refueling and so meaningful. Like, when's our next one? So I don't think we ever lose that. I don't think we lose that, like, oh man, like this is so fun, we should do it again. And I know I'm talking to a room of people who have decided to spend a week at camp, so like you guys get it. I don't have to persuade you. Normally when I talk to churches, I'm like, no, I promise, it's really fun, please come. But yeah, it's through everyone. It's ages, genders. Everyone wants to.
Your back will only hurt for like a couple nights.
Yeah,
You'll be okay.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, seeing you're talking about a 76-year-old lady going down a zip line. I was thinking, okay, you're having these older people walker races or something like that, you know.
Yeah, no, they're hiking hills. She said she was like, man, she got done. She looked at me and she was like, man, I really want to go again, but I am not hiking up that hill again. I said, you're fine, girl. You sit with me. We'll have fun. I'm taking pictures. So
Okay, kind of went blank on questions. Anything from the audience right now?
when you are doing your adult weeks, have you just done just basic retreats or have you done specialized adult weeks? Yeah, that's a great question. My goal is to have a whole week of camp with adults. It's really, really hard to even get them to sign up for a weekend. So we have only done weekends as of right now in the last year and a half. It's really hard to get adults to sign up for things because I'm like, I promise you'll love it. And they do once they get there, and then they tell their friends, and it does grow, but it's a slow growing thing for sure. The women have actually been more prone to say yes than men as well, which is fair. I'm a 28-year-old woman and I'm trying to like, make camps for men as well. It's like kind of weird. But I really would love to do some more specialized things. Like I'd love one of my biggest goals is to do like a co-ed camp to have like men and women like we used to do in high school and like play games, have fun, worship together, have small groups, like do the whole thing just like you would for a high school week of camp. But have both men and women involved and
Boys in one dorm.
yeah, boys in one dorm, girls in another. I think that would be so fun. You can come with your spouse, but like still you don't even have to sleep in the same room as them. Like girls can go braid each other's hair and boys can do whatever boys do in cabins. I don't know.
You don't want to know what Rick Moore does in a cabin.
Yeah.
For some that they might like being away from their spouse.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, we experienced this thing together, but it was a little bit different. And how important is it for us to have, as women to have sisters in Christ that we grow with, and as men to have brothers in Christ that we grow with, and to like do that together and not to be so focused on, the normal. A couples retreat would also be fun, but it would be a lot more expensive because I'd have to get private rooms for everyone. I don't know. I've looked up like Airbnbs and things like that, and they're pricey. So I'm sticking with the cheaper option for right now to get people involved. But
I don't blame you there.
Yeah.
Now, wait, there it went out of my head again. What I was going to ask.
Worries.
But do you find like for people or kids who have never been in camp, do they come with like, I'm not sure I want to do this, and is there a change, and how quickly does that take?
Yeah, it depends on the student or the camper of the change of how quickly that happens. Yeah, every event there's always at least
this past grief camp. These two sisters came and they were like pushing a little bit to see like if we were gonna get like mad at them, you know what I mean? Like they were trying to see if they could like get under my skin. And these they didn't. They can say whatever they want to me. That's totally fine. But they ended up having a blast. And like on the first day, I just like was messing with one of the girls and I called her Douglas. And then by the end of the camp, like she was just Douglas, and she loved it. She was proud to be Douglas, and she was one of those campers that did not want to go home. So she came in like kind of guarded and left, wanting more. I think more Jesus to feel safe in an environment like this, but also to be surrounded by people that know that they care about her. And camp is just such a special place where you can get a camp nickname and it might last you forever. One woman, her name was just Nachos, and now everybody just calls her Nachos. So to be a middle-aged woman and get a camp nickname that sticks with you after is a wonderful thing. So special experiences.
For sure. And I think depending on the student where they're coming from, like it makes our job not more difficult, but we want to think through like what kids need. So sometimes like a kid will come in and be like, well, the worship is cool, but like it's kind of too loud in there. And so like I don't really want to get involved. So we like to have, other ways where they can experience normal camp things in ways that make them feel more comfortable and more safe. And that kind of stuff helps a lot with that, like the quickness of feeling more comfortable as well. So before I started today's camps, I worked at Back to Back Ministries, which is a global orphan and vulnerable care mission group. You probably heard my dad talk about it because he worked there too. For the record, he did not get me the job. I got it myself. But no. But there, a lot of our work that we would do was trauma-informed care with students that are from hard places. And so I'm really grateful for that training as well, and that sort of ministry, because that helps a lot to make those quick decisions when a kid comes in, or even an adult comes in and is very timid, or maybe doesn't want to do something, or has a negative attitude about it. Normally those things stem from some sort of trigger or trauma or something like that. And so that helps a lot with being able to just provide the resources that that kid needs in order to feel more comfortable to kind of let loose and grow. So yeah, it's really a kid by kid situation. And I try to seek them out too. Like if they're hiding or doing something, like I try to make sure that we've got adults that are checking in on them and making sure it's an easier process. But most of the time they come back and they love it and they bring friends and it's fun.
Yeah, we love to focus on the one that seems like they're out of place, or seem scared or feel like they don't want to be there, because sometimes those are the best stories, to see them open up and to really be filled with Christ, and to show how he can work through a week of camp, and it's beautiful to see somebody open up like that. Yeah.
So, how are you funded?
Through very kind people. I have a support team of people who give either monthly or a couple times a year or things like that. I've actually been in a fundraise position for the last like 6 years. So I was fundraised at Back to Back as well. And when I transitioned to today's camps, I had to do the calls where you call all your supporters and you say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Thank you so much. Obviously thanking them for the support they gave me at Back to Back. And then also saying, if you want to, this is what we're doing now here, and kind of giving the mission statement and those kind of things to them and offering that as well. So a lot of my team did transition with me. As you all know, knowing about missions, people come and they go. They drop off because they have a baby, or they drop off because someone got sick, or they drop off because they forgot they were giving you money, and then you call them and they remember, and then they're like, it's time to be done. So we did lose a few supporters, but just because nothing was negative. It was just like, hey, this is, grandma, we had to put this woman into a like memory care unit, and we don't want to give her money to you without her consent. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So we technically are not fully funded, but I have been able to work for community as well and kind of do some things with the church, and they've kind of helped meet the gap there, because we are just two young kids trying to start a family. So. Yep. Yeah. And they've been really helpful.
And it's hard out here.
It is hard out here. You all know. So yes, we are support raised. Eventually, I would like to be able to use some of because camp, we don't make money for putting on a camp, really. We make even and sometimes have a little extra if I've budgeted well enough. But I would like these camps to be, funding other camps and doing that, because not only do we support race, or do I specifically support race for my income. I also support raise for camps because you need money to run camps. You have to buy, rubber ducks and beach balls and stuff like that. So,
So we'd love to be fully supported financially, personally, but also to support the ministry itself. And we'd love to be able to supply support for students to come or adults, because as you guys know, if you've been to a week of camp, it can be life-changing. So that one student that may not be able to go because of financial reason, that shouldn't hold back a moment of them meeting Christ in a space of a week. That can be a moment that can change a whole life. So
yeah. So right now, if a kid or an adult, we've had adults come to us too and say I really like to go, but I can't afford it. We make something work. We the people you ask, we tap into different resources here and there, but it would be awesome if it was always hey, no, we can make this happen for you. Because we have those funds, prepared. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here today, and we'll go take just a couple minutes to get set up for the next program.
Thank you guys very much for listening.